Hey guys, Beasley Finds is back with another episode focused on the beautiful country of Panama. If you're new to our channel, my wife and I are in search of amazing travel and retirement destinations, especially in Latin America. Panama has been at the top of my list for years, but is it still the best when it comes to retirement? In 2025, this country ranked number 1 on the annual Global Retirement Index, according to International Living magazine. You can find a link in the description to this source. I tend to agree with their assessment, and I might be a little biased, but let me tell you why I think Panama still holds up, where you might consider living, and how to be strategic in your search for an apartment or house in Panama. And to satisfy the requests of some viewers, we'll take a look at the map and explore the Azuero Peninsula. Definitely a place worthy of your consideration. Let's get going. The cost of living is usually a huge factor for many soon-to-be retirees, and Panama has options for everyone from those with very modest budgets to those seeking more luxurious amenities. Right up there with cost of living is climate and lifestyle, and once again, Panama has something to suit most people's preferences. From hot and steamy coastal Caribbean towns to expat enclaves in the cool mountainous highlands, there is so much diversity in the landscapes and climates that Panama has to offer. This variety and the freedom to choose from so many lifestyles is why Panama is still my top choice for retirement, especially for citizens of the United States and Canada, but also for many Europeans and citizens from other countries as well. Many of these travelers become expatriates in Panama or decide to fully immigrate and become citizens. These foreigners from many countries contribute to the unique fabric of Panamanian society. I have done several videos that focus on the more popular expat enclaves where many of these foreigners live, so check out my Panama playlist where I cover places such as Boquete, Coronado, and Bocas del Toro. I mentioned that Panama is especially attractive for American and Canadian citizens, and this is because you can stay as a tourist, no visa required, for up to 180 days, about 6 months, with just a passport. Besides the US and Canada, if you visit embassyofpanama.org/visas, you'll find a list of about 115 other countries with 3-month visa exemptions, which allows tourists to stay for 90 days using only their passport. These generous travel provisions means that many people from many countries have the ability to travel Panama and try before they buy. This is more important than you might think. For example, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, and even before this tumultuous time, many Americans moving from the north and retiring to states such as Florida have moved back home or at least part of the way back to states such as North and South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. This is such a prevalent phenomenon that the term halfback was coined to describe folks that move south to retire and end up moving halfway back home because they like the idea of Florida much more than the reality of living there. The point is that living in Panama for half a year or even a few months is going to be invaluable when it comes to making a retirement decision, especially if you intend to buy. And not having to worry about getting and maintaining a visa right away is a really nice benefit. If you do decide to stay in Panama, the country offers many visa types, with the ever-popular retirement visa being of great interest to those with at least $1,000 of monthly pension income. With this relatively modest amount of money, you can retire in Panama and even become a citizen if you're so inclined. Later in the video, we'll look at some important considerations for anyone pondering an extended stay in Panama, whether that be an apartment or a house. If you're finding this video helpful and enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe to support the channel. Now let's have a look at the map of Panama. I'll note the ever-popular expat areas such as Panama City, Coronado, Boquete, and Bocas del Toro. These are the main towns and areas you'll hear folks on YouTube talking about, and they're certainly worth exploring, but I'd like to direct your attention to a region mentioned by one of my viewers who lamented that I haven't covered the Azuero Peninsula. Our viewer isn't the only one that has pointed out this region of Panama, with places like Chitre, Las Tablas, and Pedasi becoming more popular with foreigners. These are not big cities by any means and have smaller populations than areas like Panama City, Colón, or David, but you can see from the map here, courtesy of Thomas Brinkhoff, as city population, that the Chitre area has the largest population, and as you move your way down the peninsula, population and urban development thin out. Changing over to the world settlement base layer on the city population website, we can see that Chitre is the most developed and has a population around 60,000. Although I think the numbers in this dataset are a little low, we can see from this handy world settlement footprint map, the areas shown in black are urbanization. You can check out a more advanced and useful version of this tool on the European Space Agency website. It shows urbanization and development with color coding to indicate what year the development occurred in. Let me know in the comments if you need any help using this nifty tool, and check for the link in the description. Continuing with our exploration of this area, the Azuero Peninsula is a tropical savanna characterized by grasslands with sparse forest and vegetative cover that, aside from the protected areas, has been largely cultivated for agricultural uses. For many Panamanians, this is the heartland of their country, and from what I hear, the people are welcoming of expats and foreigners willing to integrate into the community. In other parts of Panama, like Boquete, I would say speaking good Spanish isn't a necessity, but on the Azuero Peninsula, one should make a bigger effort. While it might not be the most gringo-friendly area, the more research I do, the more promising I find it, and I probably haven't focused on this part of Panama because I am partial to the cooler Panamanian highlands. And while this region is very hot, it's also drier than other areas such as along the Caribbean coast. It falls within the Arco Seco, or dry arc, of the country, with rainfall totals much below the national average. Compared to the Caribbean coast with annual rainfall totals of 50 to 150 inches per year, the Azuero Peninsula only receives 40 to 90 inches per year, depending on the specific location. And there are plenty of microclimates in Panama, so you can find something that is tuned to your preferences. And don't make the mistake of thinking that the Caribbean side is the only place with nice beaches and a tropical vibe. There are many beautiful playas all along the coast of the Azuero Peninsula, and even a little island or two like Isla Iguana Forest Reserve, where you can spend a day relaxing on an uninhabited paradise island. If you're feeling really adventurous, you might consider a tour of Coiba National Park, a much bigger island 90 minutes by boat from the mainland. Here you can snorkel or dive to see a huge variety of marine life and go on nature hikes to see wildlife such as crocodiles, monkeys, and tropical birds. As you can see, the peninsula has much to recommend it. I'd say the only downsides are the heat, the distance from major cities, and lack of development. But the region is connected with Albrook Airport near Panama City, and like most of Panama, is served by the Pan American Highway. So I wouldn't let the remoteness deter you from considering this location if it checks most of your other boxes. And for now, the cost of living here is very affordable with a low crime rate as well. This may be an up-and-coming location worth investing in for those who don't mind straying a bit from the well-beaten path in order to find the hidden gems. Overall, the Azuero is a great place to live if you're looking for less rain, a slower pace, and proximity to great Pacific beaches and attractions. Now let's move on to some strategic considerations when planning on a trip to Panama or an extended stay to scout some properties or rentals. Of course, most planning begins on the internet these days. You can find a ton of resources online to help you get on target and start narrowing down places of interest. You can start your search for an apartment or house online, but remember that nothing beats visiting the areas you're interested in and building a network of contacts. Some online resources are Facebook Marketplace, Encuentra24, and Google Search. Join Panama groups on Facebook and other social media if you haven't already. Facebook groups have search functions where you can find posts with questions from people like yourself that may have been answered by the group already. Whether renting or buying, consider searching properties listed in Spanish, because these could be priced substantially lower compared to English language listings geared towards foreigners. While not an official multiple listing service, the Panama Association of Realtors has a property search tool you can find at MLS Acobir. Link in the video description. An important way to stay on target in your search is to get super clear on the lifestyle and amenities that are most important to you. Do you want to live in an expat area like Boquete? Or are you willing to live more like a local on the Azuero Peninsula? What can you expect of these two different Panamas? With expat-style living, you can expect modern apartments or condos with new appliances, high-speed internet, English-speaking staff, security guards, neighbors, and landlords. You may have pools, fitness centers, and social areas, AC in every room, and hot water at every faucet. Newer building amenities may also include backup electric generators, water cisterns, rooftop swimming pools, on-site restaurants and cafes, and co-working spaces to name a few. You should expect higher rent from $1,200 to $2,500 per month. You'll pay more, but you'll have more comforts, conveniences, and peace of mind. With local style living, you can expect simpler apartments or houses with less English-speaking neighbors and fewer frills. While security staff are often part of the package in expat-oriented rental situations, don't expect security services outside of these areas unless you're in a gated community. There may not be AC in some buildings, especially at higher elevations where it's cooler, and hot water may not be available at every faucet. But you will find significant cost savings in more local areas, so you can spend more money on the things that matter to you, so long as you don't mind making some sacrifices. Besides lifestyle considerations, the choice between renting or buying will determine your costs and overall experience of living in another country. If you still haven't decided between an apartment or a house, that's okay because you can do both. But before you do anything, make sure the person offering to rent or sell the property actually owns it. There is a national land registry in Panama, but not all property is titled, so verification is critical. Invest in a Panamanian lawyer for peace of mind in all of your transactions. Now let's look at how renting and buying are different from countries like the US and Canada, and how these differences might inform your living abroad strategy. With renting, the theory is the same in Panama, but its application tends to be a bit different. For example, many rentals and even houses come furnished, which is not typical in the US. And apartment complexes are often owner-operated buildings, as opposed to being run by a management company, which is great when you have an owner who cares and solves problems quickly, but not so great when the opposite is true. And although there are fewer tenant rights in Panama, there's also more opportunity to move around, considering the availability of short-term rentals such as Airbnb, and that many units come furnished, which makes moving from place to place much simpler. With buying, there are definitely some differences in the process to consider, because Panama's real estate market is not as structured and streamlined as it is in some countries. For example, property financing isn't widely available in Panama, and many deals are made in cash. However, there are several banks such as Banco General and Scotiabank that will lend to foreigners. Check the link in the description for a guide on purchasing property in Panama. Many properties are listed online, but there isn't a well-established MLS like in the United States and other countries. Some properties include furniture and appliances and may be listed as for rent or for sale. Buyers and sellers work with real estate agents, but licensing standards are less strict for real estate professionals, so don't expect everyone that works in the business to have a license. Foreign buyers have the same property rights as locals, but having an attorney is strongly recommended for navigating the legal and economic system in Panama. Paying for a home may be done through escrow, but buyers also make direct payments to sellers. Buying in Panama comes with many cost savings, not least of all is that property taxes are much lower in Panama than the US, and new constructions can qualify for a complete tax exemption for 20 years. So, as we've seen, Panama really continues to stand out as a retirement destination, whether you're drawn to the conveniences of expat-friendly communities, the tranquility of the highlands, or the slower-paced authenticity of regions like the Azuero Peninsula, there's truly something here for everyone. The country's diverse climates, accessible visa options, affordable cost of living, and welcoming culture make it an easy place to imagine calling home, whether for a season or for the long haul. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Beasley Finds. If you want me to dig deeper into anything we covered today, just drop a comment below. And if you found this helpful, please give it a like, subscribe, and check out other videos in my Panama playlist. Thanks for spending some time with me today, and I'll see you in the next episode of Beasley Finds. Take care.